All right, folks, welcome back to Sip and Talk. You know what's funny?
What is it?
The other day I was trying to make one of those fancy latte art designs.
Oh, yeah.
Ended up looking like a pigeon had landed in my coffee cup.
Uh-huh. Oh, man.
It was rough.
I once tried to bake a cake.
Oh, no.
For my friend's birthday.
You and me both.
And it came out so dense you could practically use it as a doorstop.
At least we're trying, right? Speaking of trying, have you seen that recent video by SoundOn?
I have.
About large group awareness? Training those LGAT things.
Yeah.
It seriously got us thinking.
Wild, right?
Okay, so, yeah, I love a good conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
But this is getting real. So for all of you listening, today's deep dive is all about unpacking how LGATs operate. Using Singlet's video and a bunch of other research we dug up, we're talking history, psychology, the whole shebang.
How can we recognize these tactics?
Exactly.
Protect ourselves and maybe even help others who might be getting sucked in.
Exactly. All right, so first things first, LGATs have been around for a while, right?
Way longer than you'd think. They actually started back in the 70s.
Oh, wow.
With a company called LifeSpring.
LifeSpring?
Founded by this guy, John Hanley.
Oh, yeah.
Who, get this, was an ex-convict.
No way. Okay, that's already a red flag.
Yeah.
So what was LifeSpring all about?
Well, they promised all this personal growth and transformation through these intense group workshops.
Workshops, okay.
But it quickly became super controversial. There were scandals, lawsuits, even reports of people having psychological breakdowns, and sadly, even deaths linked to the program.
Wow, that's dark. So what happened to LifeSpring?
It eventually went bankrupt.
Oh, geez.
But here's the kicker. Its methods lived on. Other programs popped up.
Oh, no.
Often with slightly different names, but using almost identical techniques to LifeSpring. It's like they just rebranded the whole thing.
Wow. So these modern-day LGATs, how do they even get people in the door?
Well, it often starts with someone you know.
Okay.
A friend or family member inviting you to a free seminar or workshop. They talk about all these amazing benefits. More confidence, better relationships, more success. They make it sound like the key to unlocking your full potential.
Okay, so they're using our social circles to build trust. Clever. But what about the actual content of these programs? What are they teaching?
One of the big things they push is this idea called the iceberg theory.
Iceberg theory. That sounds familiar.
It basically says that only 10% of your mind is conscious,
Okay.
while the other 90% is subconscious and filled with all these limiting beliefs that are holding you back in life.
Okay. I mean, I get that we're not always aware of our subconscious thoughts, but 90% seems a bit dramatic, don't you think?
Right, and that's exactly how they hook you. They create the sense of self-doubt, making you feel like you're inherently flawed and in desperate need of their program to fix yourself.
So you sign up for the basic course, which is like the first phase.
Yeah.
And then what?
Well, things get interesting, to say the least. From day one, they start establishing control, strict rules, no questioning the instructors. And they use these weird tactics to weed out anyone who seems too independent or critical.
Wait, really?
Right.
Like what kind of tactics? Give me an example.
Well, SoundOn described how they'll sometimes use really slow, repetitive instructions, almost like they're trying to lull you into a trance. It's a way to test your patience and see if you're willing to conform.
Okay, I guess I can see how that would filter out some people. What else?
They also love to use games, but not the fun kind.
Oh, no.
These games are designed to make you feel uncomfortable and vulnerable to break down your defenses.
Like what? Spill the tea.
Okay, so one of the games they use early on is called Do I Trust You or Not?
Oh, my gosh.
You literally have to go up to other participants and tell them whether you trust them or not. Imagine how awkward that would be.
Ugh, I'd be a nervous wreck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all about putting you on the spot and forcing you to be vulnerable, which can then lead to feelings of inadequacy.
And then, bam, they hit you with their big philosophy. 100% responsibility.
Oh, yeah. The 100% responsibility thing? It sounds empowering at first. They say you're in control of your life, you're not a victim, and you can choose how you respond to everything.
But I'm guessing there's a but coming.
Oh, absolutely. The dark side of this is that it can easily turn into blaming yourself for everything, even things that are completely out of your control.
Wait, hold up. Are you saying they're telling people to blame themselves for things like trauma or abuse?
Unfortunately, yes. Selen shared some pretty disturbing examples from his research about how LGATs have applied this 100% responsibility idea to situations like sexual assault, essentially saying that the victim somehow created that situation for themselves.
Whoa, that's just wrong on so many levels.
Yeah.
Using psychological tools without proper training can be so harmful.
Right. And it's important to remember these LG instructors aren't licensed therapists. They're just people who've gone through the program themselves and think think they have all the answers.
So you finish the basic course feeling all vulnerable and maybe even a little bit brainwashed.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
Well, that's when they try to get you to sign up for the advanced course, which is where things get even more intense.
Oh, boy. Okay, so let's hold that thought because this is one juicy cliffhanger. We'll be back in a jiffy to dive into the advanced course and all the craziness that goes down there. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back.
So before the break, we were just about to dive into the LGAT advanced course. Already getting some major Squid Game vibes here.
Yeah, it's definitely where things escalate. Imagine 14-hour sessions, sleep deprivation.
Oh, my goodness.
And public drilling where they yell at you and try to make you cry.
Okay, hold up. Drilling. What's that all about?
Basically, it's like an intense interrogation where they use personal information they've gathered about you to really dig into your insecurities.
Right.
Salem's research uncovered stories of millionaire businessmen trembling under the pressure.
Wow.
And a journalist who was targeted for her pretend strength.
Oh, my goodness.
And broken down by an instructor who knew her personally.
That's messed up.
Yeah.
They're basically using your own vulnerabilities against you.
Exactly. And remember that 100% responsibility concept they drilled into you in the basic course.
Yeah.
Well, now they weaponize it. They blame you for your reactions to their abuse.
Oh, wow.
Telling you that you're choosing to feel this way.
It's like gaslighting on steroids.
Right. And then there are these games like the lifeboat game where you have to choose who to save from a sinking ship.
Oh, gosh.
It's designed to be emotionally draining and force you to confront your values and beliefs under extreme pressure.
Oh, man, I can see how that would really mess with your head.
Yeah.
So they're breaking you down, but what's the end goal here?
Well, on day 4 of the advanced course, there's this sudden shift. The pressure is lifted, the instructors start acting all nice and supportive, and you get this overwhelming feeling of euphoria and bonding with your classmates and the instructors.
Ah, so it's the classic good cop, bad cop routine.
Pretty much. And that feeling of euphoria is probably amplified by a surge of dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward.
So they're basically manipulating your brain chemistry to create this feeling of transformation.
Exactly. And that leads us to the third phase, recruitment.
Ah, here's where the pyramid scheme comes in, right?
Yep. Participants are told to commit to a 100-day program focused on community service personal goals.
Right.
And most importantly, recruiting 3 new members who they call Starfish.
Starfish. What's with the weird name?
They tell this heartwarming story about a boy throwing starfish back into the ocean to make a difference in the world.
Right.
It's all about framing recruitment as this altruistic act of helping others achieve their potential.
But really, it's just about expanding their network and making more money.
Exactly. They even have a game called Golden 18 Hours where participants frantically try to recruit as many new members as possible.
Oh, my.
And guess what? Business owners often exploit this by forcing their employees to join.
It's like a multi-level marketing scheme disguised as self-improvement.
Mm-hmm.
So they've gone through this intense emotional roller coaster, and now they're pressured to bring their friends and family into it too.
Right. And here's the thing. A lot of participants genuinely believe they've changed for the better. They report increased confidence, happiness, and energy.
But is it real change or just a temporary high?
That's the big question. John Hunter, who's done a ton of research on LUDs, suggests that these programs may trigger temporary hypomania.
Hypomania. Now, there's a word I haven't heard in a while. Remind me what that is.
It's basically a mild form of mania characterized by elevated mood, increased energy, and a decreased need for sleep.
Sounds kind of like what people describe after these LGA courses.
Exactly. And Hunter suggests that this hypomania could be triggered by the cycle of extreme stress followed by social reward that's inherent in these programs.
Right.
The intense pressure creates a buildup of stress hormones, and then the sudden release of that pressure combined with the social approval and validation leads to a surge of dopamine.
So they're messing with your brain chemistry to create this illusion of transformation.
Right. And because the course environment is designed to reinforce the idea that you're undergoing this profound personal growth, participants interpret that dopamine rush as evidence that the program is working.
But it's just a temporary high, right? Like a sugar rush.
Exactly. And when that high fades, they're left feeling lost and confused, wondering what actually changed.
So what can we do about this? How do we protect ourselves and others from these manipulative programs?
Well, I think the first step is awareness. The more we know about how these programs operate, the better equipped we are to spot the red flags.
Right. So we need to educate ourselves and have these conversations. But what about specific advice for people who might be considering joining one of these programs? What should they look out for?
Well, be wary of programs that promise quick fixes or dramatic transformations. Real personal growth takes time and effort.
Right.
Also pay attention to the language they use.
Okay.
Do they use a lot of jargon or vague terms?
Yep.
Do they emphasize conformity and obedience?
Okay.
Those are red flags.
And what about the recruitment process? How can we tell if someone is trying to lure us into something shady?
Well, if they're being super pushy or evasive about the details of the program,
Right.
that's a bad sign.
Yeah.
Also, if they're constantly talking about how much money they're making or how successful they've become since joining,
Okay.
that could be a sign that they're more focused on recruitment than actual personal growth.
So basically trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is.
Exactly. And remember, you have the right to say no. Don't let anyone pressure you into something you're not comfortable with.
All right, we're back and ready to wrap up this deep dive into the world of LGATs.
Yeah.
So what have we learned? What are the key takeaways here?
I think the biggest one is that self-improvement is a great goal, but these LGAT programs can be a seriously twisted path to get there. They dangle this promise of transformation in front of you,
Right.
but the methods they use are often manipulative and can even be harmful.
Yeah, it's like they're taking this genuine desire people have to grow and improve and twisting it into this system of control and exploitation.
Right, and they use all these psychological tricks to make you think you're making progress, when in reality, they might be messing with your brain chemistry and creating a temporary high that eventually fades, leaving you feeling lost and confused.
And the worst part is they teach you to blame yourself for everything, even if you're experiencing abuse or manipulation within the program itself.
Right.
It's like they're creating this army of self-blaming robots who are programmed to recruit more people into the system.
And it's important to remember that these LGAT organizations are businesses. They're driven by profit,
Right.
not by a genuine desire to help people.
So how do we protect ourselves and others from falling into this trap? What can we do?
Well, I think education is key. The more people know about LGATs and the tactics they use,
Right.
the less likely they are to be fooled.
Right. So we need to talk about this, share information, and warn others about the potential dangers. But what about those who are already involved? How can we help them?
Well, first of all, we need to approach them with empathy and understanding.
Right.
Remember, they're victims of manipulation, not villains.
Yeah.
Shaming or blaming them will only push them further into the clutches of the group.
It's like telling someone who's been conned that they're stupid for falling for it.
Exactly.
It doesn't help,
Yeah.
and it just makes them feel worse.
Exactly. Instead, let's offer support and resources.
Right.
Let them know they're not alone and that there are people who care about them and want to help.
So where can people go for help? What resources are available?
Well, there are organizations like the International Cultic Studies Association,
Okay.
ICSA, that offer information and support for former cult members and their families.
And therapy can also be incredibly helpful in processing the trauma and emotional manipulation that often comes with LGAT involvement.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A therapist can help you understand what happened, develop coping mechanisms, and rebuild your sense of self-trust.
So if you or someone you know has been affected by an LGAT, please don't hesitate to reach out for help. There's no shame in admitting you've been manipulated, and there's strength in seeking support to heal and move forward.
And remember, the best way to combat these manipulative practices is to shine a light on them.
Exactly.
Talk about it, share your story, and help others understand the dangers of LGS.
Let's work together to create a world where people seeking self-improvement can find genuine support and guidance without falling prey to these harmful tactics.
Well said.
Yeah.
And speaking of genuine experiences, we wanted to give a shout out to Mickytolife on YouTube.
Yes.
They're all about travel, whiskey, and alcohol unboxing, no manipulation, just good times.
A perfect way to unwind after a deep dive like this.
Right.
So if you're looking for some fun and adventure, check out Mickytolife.
And that wraps up our deep dive into the world of LGATs. Stay informed, stay critical.
Yeah.
Most importantly, stay safe out there.
Until next time, keep sipping and keep talking.